Well, hello. Jason Clark here with Southeastern Reptile Rescue, and this is episode number 18 of the SnakesAreUsTV Podcast. And I've just entitled this one simply 2024. We're at the end of the year, and I thought I could kind of go over some of the things that we did this last year, which is a lot, and maybe even talking about some New Year's resolutions coming up. I've already got mine set. I don't know if you do those or not, but I tried to start doing that, and sometimes that works out well, sometimes it don't. So I'm going to get over into a live chat. We record this at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live on YouTube. If you want to join the live chat and see this recorded live, you can do that, like I said, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, SnakesAreUsTV. And there you can join the live chat. And sometimes when I remember, I go to the live chat and we'll converse and you can ask questions. And if I happen to see your question, sometimes I'll answer those. So let me go in here to the live chat now. And we'll get this started. So we got a lot of people, looks like, already in the live chat. Make sure my volume is down so we don't have feedback here. So 2024 for me was has been definitely quite a year. Some good things, some bad things. I think that's with every year that goes up. But one thing that I've had to kind of come to terms with many years ago was the fact of just exactly how unorganized I am. I don't feel like I'm a very organized person. And with all that I have to do, you can't be that way. So especially when I'm booking these events and these speaking events, I'm having to go do all these different locations and stuff. So you have to have that organized. And I tried to figure out a way to do that. And so what I did is I got me a calendar. And I love this calendar. And, now some of you may do like I did and kind of keep everything electronically, on your phone, which your phone's got everything now. And you can access, all that on the cloud. You can go to your laptop, your desktop, your phone, your tablet, and get all that information. And that's so convenient to do that. And I think that's what most people now do. But I don't do that. I actually stopped doing that because I have a physical calendar, okay? Now, I just noticed Greg's Turtle Haven. Greg just says, I have to use a physical calendar. Phone won't work for me. The phone doesn't work for me either, but even not just that. What I've figured out is there's another reason I like having an actual physical calendar, and I can turn in here and turn and see my whole entire month. I can turn and see each individual day and have plenty of space to write everything down. But the cool thing about having this not digital, having this you can hold in your hand, is at the end of the year, I can take this calendar and sit it over there. And I can do that at the end of the next year. And I can do it at the end of the next year. And I can just keep on sitting all these calendars one by one, stacking these things up year after year. And now, I did not bring all my calendars in here, okay? I have years and years and years of these things. Now, if this is all digitized, of course that can be saved on the cloud. I can go back and search and look for stuff. But it's kind of like having, all these pictures in your phone. When your phone gets full, what do you do with it? You save those to the cloud. Maybe you put them on a hard drive or something. But you remember having that photo album that's there, and all the pictures are printed out in it, and you pick your photo album up and you flip through it. You're like, and it's so much fun to go back and look at that stuff. And that's what I figured out is so cool about having a physical calendar you can put in your hand and hold. Because, the other cool thing is too, long after I'm gone, my kids will be able to have years and years and years and basically be able to look back and see exactly everything that I did every day of my business. They may not want to see any stuff. I don't know, but, at least it's there for them if that's what they one day want. So, I encourage you. I encourage you. Some of you may say, no, I like it digital. Well, you know what? You're wrong, okay? Okay? Just try it my way. Try it my way and see if you like it. But you have to pick out the right calendar, okay? And this is the calendar I've got. This is called a weekly, monthly planning calendar. It's called a weekly, monthly. And I'll show this to you right here. If anybody wants to get this exact calendar, I go and search for this calendar every single year. I have bought it for many, many years. It is made by a company called Blue Sky. And I love this calendar. Just the whole way this thing is set up is amazing. And it being consistent year after year after year, it's so easy for me to organize this. And wasn't even going to tell you all this part, but I like to go buy the big pack of all the different colored pens. It's like 24 different colored pens. And the ones that are called Ink Joy, the gel pens, I love those things, okay? Yes, I'm a guy. I love colored gel pens. There you go. And I like to go in here, and I'll use different colors. They're not color-coded. I don't do that. I'm not that psycho. But I'll go in here and write down different events in different color ink. That way, just at a glance, I can say, okay, this is a different event right here. Because I may have 5 different cities I have to go speak at in the same day. And so if they're all in the same color, I'm just thinking, okay, I've got one event tomorrow. If they're in 5 colors, I'm like, I have 5 events tomorrow to go do. So that kind of helps me just kind of stay organized. So anyway, what do you guys do? Do y'all keep a calendar? Not everybody keeps a calendar. Before I started my business, I did not keep a calendar. I knew what day of the week it currently was. That's about it. I didn't, plan. I would plan things. Okay, next week I'm going to go do this. Or I'm going to go on vacation in 3 weeks from now. I know that. I would write it down somewhere, but I didn't keep a calendar, and I don't know how I lived without it. I don't know how people who don't have a calendar that they're constantly checking things off on their phone or on a physical calendar. I don't know how you do it. I have no idea how you do it. But if you don't use that, make sure you really try to use a physical calendar. So let me go to the chat here and see what you guys are saying. See who all's in here tonight. We got Trinity Murray. Candy's Critters is back. And Chris Taylor is here again. Thank you guys for showing up. We have got John. I can't read this. I got to get too close. John McBrimey Jr. Is that what I'm saying right? I'm doing well. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. And you are watching from Modesto, California. So everybody else, some of you I know where you're from. Let's see. Just by memory, let me go see who. So Chris Taylor, I know Chris. I've known his whole family. He lives here where I do. Trinity Murray, I don't know where you live. Somewhere Oregon, somewhere way up there. I don't know where you live. Somewhere Candy's Critters. I think you're in Texas, I think. I remember some of you guys that join in here every week. Greg's Turtle Haven is here in Georgia where I am. If you're not familiar with Greg, he has a YouTube channel called Greg's Turtle Haven. And if you like turtles, you should go watch his YouTube channel. If you don't like turtles, you will like turtles once you go watch his YouTube channel. So make sure you go check out Greg's Turtle Haven on there. We have got Pender Sweets on here, and I know her from another group I'm in. I am the same. I got a dry erase calendar for my fridge, and it is a game changer. Yes, I try to post a calendar in my house, a big wall calendar that I can write my stuff on and my daughter's things on, to kind of help them know what's going on. Because not only do my daughters need to know what they have to go do, they need to know, hey, where's Dad today? What's he doing? And so, because I'm guilty of not telling them about big events that we have coming up and things I have to go do. So I like keeping that calendar, and that really does help me with all these shows that I'm doing. Because I was just counting, and I said this last week on the podcast, for 2025, and I'm pretty excited about this. 2025, I'm going to have the most public speaking events I've ever had in 1 year, ever since I've started Southeastern Reptile Rescue. So tons of speaking events for 2025. And I'm going to get all those organized. I'm going to get all those up on the website. Now, not all those are open to the public. Some of those are private events I'm asked to come and speak at. But I don't know, 150 of them or so, half of them will be open to the public, where you get to come and, say hey in person and get to meet you guys. All right, so who else we have on here? Rhonda Hall. Well, thank you, Rhonda. Really enjoy watching you. Rhonda, where are you watching from? Chocolate Cookies. She says my favorite pens. Every week, I like to tell people who Chocolate Cookies is. Chocolate Cookies is my mom. She's in the chat. And I asked her, why is it called Chocolate Cookies? She said, I don't know. Your daughter was over here one day, and she got my phone, and she changed the username to Chocolate Cookies. I don't know how to change it back. So my mom is permanently, for the rest of her life, Chocolate Cookies on YouTube. We've got Nature Nut. Nature Nut, I think you are from North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. I'm probably messing up. I probably don't know where any of y'all are from. We've got, is that Neil Jordan or Neil Jordan? I can't see close enough to tell anything. I think it's Neil Jordan. Hello, Neil Jordan. We've got Wynn Oldenburg from Linden. Is that Linden, Michigan? From Linden, Michigan. Oh, Nature Nut. I was close. Nature Nut's from South Carolina, not North Carolina. Okay. Trinity University, I'm right, Oregon. And so we got David Leos. Hello, David. Welcome. Thank you for joining us in the live chat tonight. Painted Rocks has come back in the live chat. She says, I have a physical calendar, and I keep them. I have all 44 for the last 44 years. Wow, that is awesome. 44 years, she says that her girls like to go back and read what she was doing. So that's the cool thing. If I haven't got you sold yet on ditching your iPhone calendar, first of all, shouldn't even have an iPhone, okay? You should have an Android, okay? That's what you should have, because they're just better phones. At least mine is, but I'm just not an iPhone person. So I probably just lost half of my viewership just by saying that, but it's okay. It's okay. My daughters, they don't like that either. They have iPhones. So anyway, get a physical calendar, and you will enjoy years later going back and looking at what you did and what you didn't do. But you got to write it all down. Who else is in the chat? We got some more people joining. So thank y'all. Rhonda Hall, she is from Salem, Alabama. All right. So just going through here, because like I said, 2025 looks like we're going to have the most presentations I've ever had, which is amazing. I just love that. And get this thing turned on up here. Oh, well. Anyway, sometimes throughout the year, some parts of the year are definitely more stressful for me than others are. I would say wintertime, because I remember before I started doing what I do full time, and this became my full-time job to do this, because if I had to have a job that I go to 5 or 6 days a week, there's no way that I could do all the things that I'm doing. That's why I had to quit my job to begin with, because I had, if you don't know, I used to be a cop. Okay. That was way too dangerous. I quit doing that. Now I just work with, venomous snakes and alligators, much, much safer. But no, seriously, because, people, you never know what they're going to do. You can't trust people, because they can do anything. But snakes, they're always willing to kill you. But I definitely trust animals, I think, more than I do people sometimes. But anyway, I had a job. I had an actual job where I had a bunch of jobs, but my last job, I was a police officer. I did that for many years, and I was already doing the snake stuff before I was a police officer. I've been doing this since I was a kid, and I just never got paid for any of it. But things kind of started going to where I realized, hey, when I go do public speaking, people actually kind of like to hear me speak and that I do this. And I've gotten to where I really enjoy doing that. And it got to where that was able to help pay the bills and started to fund the rescue, because people who call me, they'll say, hey, I want to start a reptile rescue. Well, there's no money in a rescue of any kind of animal. If anything, that drains you of money. You have to have money to pour into that. You're not going to make money being a rescue, and nor should you. So me going and doing these public events, these public speaking events, that's kind of what helps fund the rescue part of Southeastern Reptile Rescue. So I had to get to the point where I quit my job because I had exhausted all my vacation time. I didn't have any more sick leave. And I was at the point where I had found out I could take unpaid leave and go do all my snake stuff and still actually have a job, even though I wasn't going to it. Okay. And then it finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I think I just need to quit my job and go do this, and that was a really hard thing to do, because I went from having a job to where I got paid every 2 weeks, whether I did a good job or a bad job, to quitting my job, having 2 kids and a mortgage, leaving a government job to work with snakes to where I don't get paid unless I do a good job. And that was a very difficult transition to make. And so having a calendar where I can see my whole year and plan this thing out ahead of time, because you can't really do that as well, not as easily anyway, when you have a digital calendar on your phone anyway. But anyway, we got a lot more people joining in here. So John is asking in the chat, why are Mojave rattlesnakes aggressive, Mr. Clark? Well, John, I don't like your question. No. He says one tried to bite him. Okay, well, so I would never classify Mojave rattlesnakes as aggressive. I would never classify any rattlesnake as aggressive. Because I think, our terms are very important as to how we describe these things. I would say they're highly defensive, but I would not ever classify them as aggressive. And I've owned and worked with Mojave rattlesnakes specifically, as well as a lot of other Western species of snakes. But I wouldn't say they're aggressive. I would say they're highly defensive. Aggression implies that the snake sees you over there, leave where it's at, and hightails it over there to you in order to attack you. That's aggression, okay? Defense means, hey, this snake is right here. He's wound up. He's rattling like crazy. And if you get close to him, he will not hesitate to bite you. That's defense, not aggression. So, if I get called, somebody says, hey, we need a rattlesnake in a movie or a film, a commercial, and we need the rattlesnake to rattle. Well, I can use a timber rattlesnake or an eastern diamondback that's here from the southeastern U.S. I can do that. But if we're on a time constraint, and in the film industry, time is money, and we need the rattlesnake to rattle when they say they want it to rattle right then, I'm going to use a western species, a Mojave, but most likely a western diamondback, because those western species of rattlesnakes, at least most of them anyway, from my experience, seem to be, I would say, not more aggressive, but more high-strung and more quick to strike, more quick to rattle. But I don't think they're aggressive, okay? I hope that answers your question. So Ben Baker just joined us in the chat. Thank you for being here, Ben. Now, back to what I was saying, when I quit my job and I've got to figure out a way to make money, to bring money in, to put food on the table and pay the mortgage, and to fund the rescue and to feed the animals and do all the things that we're doing. Because if I have a job to have to go to there's so many things that we do that I have to cut out, and I can't do these things. So in order to run this effectively, I have to focus on this, 365 days a year, all year. I'm working on this organization. And so the stressful part of the year for me is like right now. So December, I'm looking at my calendar here, January. I turn over here to February. So these months here, to me, are the most stressful because I don't have a whole lot going on. Thank God for this podcast. I have something to do this week, sit here and talk to you guys. Now, as things start to ramp up and we start to get into March and April and May, and things become more active, my topics on here are going to change because, some people who do podcasts, they will kind of plan out, not everybody, but a lot of people will plan out their podcast episodes for, months in advance, 3 or 4, 5, 6 months in advance, and kind of know what they're going to. I'm not doing that, because with what happens in my life, there may be something completely different tomorrow that happens that we need to discuss on the podcast. So as things start to ramp up and we start to get busy, that's kind of how things will start to go. But, the hard part of December, January, February for me is because there's not a whole lot going on. It's too cold outside, typically for the southeastern U.S. Central Florida, South Florida, a little bit different. But here in Georgia, central Georgia where I live, we don't have a whole lot of snakes crawling around in December. So as far as nuisance calls for me to go out and catch animals to remove them, we're not really doing that. So I can't really go film me doing that to put a YouTube video up. There's Christmas right here. So kids are out of school for a couple of weeks. And there's Thanksgiving and Christmas and all these holidays are right here together. And so you don't have a lot of fairs and fall festivals and a lot of events that want me to come speak about snakes. We don't really have a lot of that in November, December, January, February. So this is kind of a little bit slower time for us. The problem with it being a slower time is the fact that it's cold. And I hate the cold. I don't like it being cold. I hate wintertime so much that when it is summer and it's hot, I don't complain about how hot it is because I hate winter that much. I don't like how the trees have no leaves on them and it looks ugh. I don't like how it gets dark at 2 p.m. basically. I don't like that. And I don't like it being cold. I think those three things are miserable to me. I don't like it. I can't wait till spring gets here. My favorite holiday in the entire world is daylight savings time. That's my favorite thing. Because it's not getting dark. I'm not in the tunnel anymore. And, life starts to happen. Anyway, so, my birthday is in January. And I say I hate winter. But, you have the worst birthdays in January. As a kid growing up, I had a birthday in January. What is there to do? Hang outside in the cold, wet rain in January. Here in Georgia, there's no snow. And if it is, it lasts for a few hours and melts. And it's just mud. So at least that's living here in Georgia, what we get. So I don't like January, December, January, February. I like Christmas. I, of course, like my birthday. I think that's pretty awesome. My birthday, we celebrate the whole month of January. But now, fortunately, this year, I do have some events coming up. I have an event coming up, actually pretty quick. And it's coming up January. Let me actually see when this thing is. January something. January 9th. January 9th, 10th and 11th, and 12th. So 4-day event. The Dallas Safari Club out of Dallas, Texas, is having their conference in Atlanta, Georgia. And I cannot wait to go to this thing. I'm really looking forward to it. And I have not said this yet. We have a lot of people asking for T-shirts and hats. I have not ordered T-shirts or hats. I haven't ordered hats since, I don't even know, 2015, a long time. I haven't ordered T-shirts and sold T-shirts since 2019. And we used to always have T-shirts for sale. And I still see people at events will show up with a Southeastern Reptile Rescue, the Snakes Are Us T-shirt on. And people still ask for them. Well, right now, I have ordered hats, and T-shirts. They are on the way. And I'm going to have those for sale in Atlanta at the Dallas Safari Club Conference at the Georgia World Congress Center, January 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. And then we'll probably offer those online. If you want to go on the website, you can order one and we'll ship it to you. But I don't have those up right now. But in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have T-shirts and hats finally. So that's good because I need some new T-shirts for myself. So if you want that, we'll be looking for that. Now, the bad part about the cold and not having a lot to do this time of year goes hand in hand because when there's not a lot to do, that means there's not a lot of revenue coming in. Like there's no money coming in, but there's still money has to be going out. And, Rhonda Hall, thank you very much, just sent a $3 super chat. I appreciate that because I'm talking about how broke I am right now. So she sent me $3. I really do appreciate that. But my reptile building, we had two of them. We heat those buildings with propane, with gas, because if we have a winter storm, which we always have the power out for some reason where I live, I have no idea why. If the power's out for a few hours or a day or two, and it's wintertime, it's going to get so cold in there, I'm going to lose all the animals. They have to be warm. Now, I won't have any heat at my house. I'll be freezing cold. I'll go to the reptile building, but at least they will be warm. So we heat that with propane, and we go through a lot of propane. I mean, I don't know, a couple $1,000 worth just on that one building in the wintertime. So anyway, we go through a lot of propane, and it is not cheap. So we got some more people in the chat here. Let me go right back up here and see who all has been joining us. We've got Cheesy Cheetah is back. He says, sorry I'm late. I will forgive you this time, but let's not make a habit of that, Cheesy Cheetah. Okay. And where are you from? We're asking people what state they're from or what country they're from. Not everybody's from a state. I know we have some people that are international that listen to us and watch us. So we've got Avery's Jungle joined us. Avery's Jungle says, I used to like the winter when I was younger. Once I developed lupus, syndrome, the cold air is just now way too painful. Yeah, luckily I don't have that. I just hate winter just because it sucks. Okay, I just don't like it. So I like wearing T-shirt and shorts every day of my life. So you see me wearing this long sleeve shirt. This is a new thing. Okay, I bought a long sleeve shirt and I was like, I resisted it for years because I was like, I feel like something's got me. Like I don't want to wear this, but I put it on, and as long as it's cold, as long as it's not warm or stuffy, I can wear a long sleeve shirt, but I don't do it very often. Okay, not very often. So usually I'm in shorts and T-shirt, and that's how I want to live. So let's see here. Avery's Jungle says, I truly love your studio setup. Well, thank you very much. I built all this, did all this stuff myself. So let's see here. Yeah, the cold is very painful. And speaking of painful cold, you have propane heating as well. Yeah. So just having the propane and knowing that I don't have to worry about a power outage is a big thing. And, now that we have high-speed internet here, because we're out in the boondocks and we didn't have internet service here, and basically all we had was internet on our cell phones. That was it. And you could do like a hotspot or something and maybe get a little bit of a signal. But I've lived here for many years, never had internet. I mean, till 2024, I'm talking about. The beginning of 2024 is when we got internet. Is that crazy? Yeah. So I couldn't have done a podcast. I couldn't have done any of this before 2024 was as early as I would have been able to do this. I didn't have the capability to do this. We had internet, just not good internet. You could see it on your phone, but that was about it. So that's definitely a game changer because now I can have, security cameras inside my reptile buildings on the outside. I can check on things. And the cool thing about that is I can check on the temperatures in my building. I can go and look and say, okay, I see what the temperature is. I got a thing on the wall there. I can see it, So that's really nice to be able to have that. So we got We got Evan Wolf. Evan Wolf. Now, here's the thing. Evan Wolf, I'm about to read your comment. I have not read your comment yet, but just let me say this before I read your comment. When I'm on here on this live chat, as I'm reading a comment, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, oh, please don't be something horrible, because I'm not going to know it's horrible till after I've read it out loud and said it, okay? So Evan Wolf said, you should make more videos where you have to go remove snakes. I really enjoyed watching them. Yes, Evan, I should do that. And I film a ton of stuff. I've got so many videos filmed right now. I don't even know how many. I've been saying I've got 20 YouTube videos already filmed. I've been saying that for 2 years. I've probably got a lot more than that filmed at this point. My problem is sitting down and editing the video. And people will say, well, why don't you hire you a video editor to do that? I don't know. I don't know that I want to do that, because like I remember when I had, if you don't know, I used to have a TV series on Animal Planet years ago. And when we were filming my TV show, they would send a film crew. And on the film crew, we had a producer, we had a production assistant, we had usually two camera guys, two camera operators, and a sound technician person, audio person. And anyway, so it was a crew of probably about 5 people, typically 5 or 6 people, film crew that would follow us around and film. And one thing I noticed was when we were filming something, the producer was furiously taking notes, writing down things I say, writing down what I'm doing, writing down where we are, writing just detail. And I'm not a good note taker at all. I hate taking notes. But they were just writing so many notes. And I didn't really understand why, but until later. But what I figured out was every time they would fill up a memory card or a tape or whatever they're filming on, they would package that recording with the notes. Because if you don't do that and you just hand this recording off of hours and hours of footage to some poor editor who's going to go through this and try to make it into a story, it's impossible, you know? So I would have to basically do that for an editor, because whatever they came up with may be piecing footage that may not even be what happened if you're just piecing all this stuff together. So that's kind of why I have to edit it myself. It just takes so long to do it. But I do have some videos coming up. I think I'm going to wait till January 1st or 2nd to put those out. At least the first one that's coming out. I'm going to wait and do that. So Avery's Jungle, not very good. I suck at editing. So I just post videos as is on my channel. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Just post them as is. But sometimes I mess things up and say things wrong. I have to re-record it and different things like that. So anyway, so January 2025, we have a lot of stuff coming up. And I hope that if you're in the Atlanta area in January 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, you'll be able to come see me. And the only cool thing about winter that I do like is sometimes I do have these events that book me, like the Dallas Safari Club in January. But then another cool event I've done for many, many years that's coming up in February of 2025, and I can't wait to go back to, is going to be in the great state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, I will be there February. I'm going to be there for 9 days. February 1st through February 9th for the Great American Outdoor Show. If you do not know what the Great American Outdoor Show is, it is the largest trade show in the world. It is massive. Think of how big you're thinking it is, and it's bigger than that. It is really big. It's all about hunting and fishing and camping and outdoor stuff, and it is just really cool. It is put on by the NRA, the National Rifle Association, and they had me come there, and I'm one of their guest speakers. They have a lot of speakers that come in. They have a concert at the last night. They'll have a concert. Some singers come in. That's always really cool. So that's just an awesome event. So I will be there. So make sure you go look up the Great American Outdoor Show in Pennsylvania in February 2025. That's always a fun one. I do at least one show a day on stage, and I'll tell you, out of every place I've ever done a show, that is the hardest venue to speak at of any place in my life for a few reasons. One reason is because you're in this like a big, this big arena thing. And so wherever you stand, you get an audience behind you. I mean, you're surrounded. There's just people on each side, and it's a big room, and there's like a fence up because I have live venomous snakes out. So I'm not extremely close to the audience. Now, I can walk over to the fence, and I can carry a snake over here, walk over to the fence and show people. Now, the good thing is they have a giant, like a 20-foot screen up, and they have cameras out there that's filming it, and then they have TVs around the audience as well that they can see close-ups. So that's a good thing there. But it's just really hard. Have you ever heard the term laughter is contagious? You ever heard that? Okay, laughter is contagious. That is actually true. Laughter is contagious. One thing that I figured out, and you'll hear this like from comedians, they'll tell you, when you go to a comedy club, and I've mentioned this before on this podcast, comedy clubs are set up in a very particular way. The stage is low to the ground. The seats are close to the stage. The ceiling's low. Everything's real tight together because the closer the audience is together, the closer the audience is the person speaking. If there is something to laugh about, they're more prone to laugh at it. But when you have a higher ceiling and you're further from the speaker and the audience members are further apart, if you get laughter, you really have to work to get people to laugh or do anything because laughter is contagious. And people don't want to just be sitting over here by themselves laughing their head off like a fool, because that's how you feel when you're by yourself. When you're in a crowd of people, it's easier to laugh if they're all laughing right next to you. So when I do that event, in Pennsylvania, I have to really know my show that I'm doing, and I have to know when to pause, when to assume they might be laughing at a joke I just told, and when to keep on going and just assuming that they're getting it. And they must be, because we do get some good comments from there, and that's always been a good show to go to. They're having me back, and I've been there for many, many years. So I'll be back there, so I want you guys to come see that. But, that is a show in the wintertime, and the cool thing is, because I'm from Georgia, we might get to go see snow. And when you're there, you can't say, oh, man, I hope it snows. People get mad at you for saying that. No, don't say that. We don't want it to snow. I'm like, look, I'm from Georgia. I would like for it to snow at least one time while I'm here. And a few times I'm there, we have gotten some snow. We go to this, there's a big church there, and they have a huge hill out back, and we get to go and take sleds and sled down the hill in the snow. But they're telling me that, by the time we get there in February, that the snow season is kind of past. You're kind of at the end of it at that point, from what I understand. Let's see who else we got here. We got Connor Taylor. Thank you for joining us, Connor. David Leos. We've got Nadia Brooke. Nadia here. Thank you, Nadia. Has been with us a long time. Hi, everybody. Merry Christmas to you. And she is from the UK. Who else we got here? Avery's Jungle. I go to that show every year, too. So if you are there, Avery's Jungle, make sure you stop by the arena and say hello. I will be there every single day that it's open. When we go do these events, we go do this event like in Pennsylvania, and we go do these things. One thing that I have to do is I have to get permission from Georgia, the state of Georgia, to take certain snakes out of the state. If it's a snake that is a species that they regulate, then I have to get permission for that. I have to get a permit to take that over across state lines. I have to tell them where I'm going, the dates I'm going, the species I'm taking. And then not only that, I also have to, the states that I'm going through, make sure that that their regulations are okay with me simply driving through their state with the snakes in my vehicle or the alligators in my vehicle or whatever I'm taking with me. And then Pennsylvania, in Pennsylvania, their laws are completely different than Georgia. So here in Georgia, if you go in your yard in Georgia and there's a copperhead, you can legally catch it. You can legally own it. Should you? Probably not. Okay. But you can. Timber rattlesnakes, you can do the same thing. Should you do it? No, you shouldn't, but you could. It's legal. Well, in Pennsylvania, it's not Pennsylvania. Copperheads and timber rattlesnakes are both protected. So there's a lot of restrictions around those. So in order for me to bring a copperhead or a timber rattlesnake into Pennsylvania, I have to get special permission from the state in order to do that. And I think it's important I could bring in a cottonmouth or an eastern diamondback rattlesnake into Pennsylvania, and I would not have to ask the permission of Pennsylvania to do that. At least I don't think I do. I think in Pennsylvania you can have exotic venomous snakes that are not native to Pennsylvania with no permit. So I could do that. But the reason I want to bring a copperhead and a timber rattlesnake is because there's so many people at this event that live where timber rattlesnakes and copperheads do, especially in Pennsylvania because both those snakes are native there. So I like to bring snakes that live where the people live that we're showing. Let's see who else we got here in the chat. We got Atlanta Leon Rebel. I don't know what it is. My sons and I love seeing you at the Georgia Outdoor Show. So which show is that? The Georgia Outdoor? Are you talking about the GON Outdoor Blast? The GON Outdoor Blast is held in July, if that's the one you're talking about. So make sure you check that out. Nadia is saying, so Nadia, you are in the UK and you're saying it's 9 oh, here we go. I thought you were saying it's 9 degrees there. But it's 9 degrees Celsius, okay? I have no idea what that means. I don't know. This is America. In America, I don't know what 9 degrees is that cold? Is that hot? I'm assuming 9 degrees Celsius is pretty cold. But that's how dumb I am. I don't know Celsius. What is 9 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit? Tell me what that is, and then I will completely understand your comment there, Nadia. So I know I made myself look very stupid, but I don't know. I don't know the metric system like at all. Okay, we've got Squish here has joined us in the chat as well. Thank you for coming in here. And yes, Nadia, timber rattlesnakes are so very pretty. Timber rattlesnakes are beautiful, beautiful snakes. Beautiful snakes. So anyway, as I'm going through my calendar, I'm just looking through. Now, this is my 2025 calendar here, but my 2024 calendar, I do have some videos that we filmed this year that I want to put out that are pretty incredible. One of them, I think I mentioned on here before, but I need to do some more research before I put this next video out. My mom just reminded me of this. My mom went with me on a call to where basically the state said, hey, there's some animals here that are protected and we're seizing them, but can we just have you stop by and pick them up and just hold them temporarily till we can get them? I said, yeah, sure. So he just sends me some photos of the animals I'm going to get. And it was 11 reptiles, 11. Okay. And so it was on a Sunday and it was a couple-hour drive away. So I told my mom, I said, hey, Sunday, go hang out with me. Let's go pick up some animals. So we drive, a couple-hour drive, and we get down there, and the state agencies are not there, but the local animal control is waiting on us. And they said, so you're here to get the reptiles? I said, yeah. I said, well, where's your trailer? I said, I don't have a trailer. I said, well, where's your crew? I said, my mom's right here. My mom's going to help me. I said, well, how are you going to fit them all in your vehicle? I said, no, we can fit 11 animals in here. He said, who told you it was 11? I said, the text message right here says 11. He said, well, they left off of 1. So it was not 111. It was like 160-something animals. No, hang on, 160-something reptiles. That didn't include all the other animals that were not reptiles there, okay? So anyway, we got that video coming out at some point that I want to put out. But the kicker of that video, and I'm not going to I'm not going to give a lot of detail about that. Maybe I'll wait till the video comes out because there's a lot more to that video than us just going and getting animals out of the house. There's something else that happened there that was pretty bad, extremely bad, that we may touch on that in the video, but I need to make some calls and figure out what has happened with the people that were involved with that situation, because I want to do an update on where that situation is now, because that will be interesting for y'all to hear. But anyway, that's a video we have coming out hopefully soon. So, when we talk about a new year coming up, I decided to start this podcast way before I started this podcast. I've been thinking about doing a podcast for about a little over 2 years now, okay? About 2 years ago, I got the idea that I was like, I think I would kind of like to start a podcast. And I started just rolling the idea around in my head, just thinking about it. Would I like doing it? Would it be fun? Would I enjoy doing it? Would I know what to talk about? Do I know how to do a podcast? I didn't know how to do didn't know how to do any of that. And the more I thought about it, the more I researched it, the more I kind of wanted to do it. And so once I decided, okay, I made the decision, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to do this, okay? Once I made that decision, for a lot of people, that's as far as it goes. People come up with ideas all the time they want to do, ideas that they can do, but then the daydreaming of it is about as far as they go with it, and I'm guilty of that with certain things, but that's how kind of most people, I think, are like that. But I didn't want to be that way. I wanted okay, if I want to do a podcast, no one's going to show up at my door and say, hey, here's all the equipment, here's a studio, do a podcast. Okay. I knew I was going to have to make it happen. It wasn't just going to happen. I knew I had to make this thing happen. So I started listening to several different podcasts, figuring out what I liked, what I did not like. And then I started researching, well, what do I have to buy? Microphones, stands, do I have a studio? How do I have the right lighting? Because, even the lighting that's in here, if you can see all the lighting that I have in here, if I turn the cameras off and I set the lighting up to how I think it should look, it does not look like this at all. Because then when I turn the cameras on, I'm like, oh, it looks horrible. So I'm like, I have to turn the camera on and watch my screen, basically. At least that's how I did it. And figure out how to set the lighting up to where it actually looks normal, nice. It doesn't look horrible. And that was a whole job in and of itself. And then the right kind of camera, setting the cameras up, and all the other equipment you have to go with that. So anyway, and now I'm working on getting, a second microphone. We've already started buying some of that equipment. We've already got some of that equipment coming in. We're going to be setting up a second microphone in the studio. So we'll be having guests come in here in 2025, sit down, and we're going to be talking to them for an hour and a half, or whatever we want to talk about. And so that's coming. That's coming. But when I'm getting to a point here, okay? I'm making a point. When I decided to start this podcast, I made the decision to do it, and then I had to implement it. Then I had to say, okay, I'm going to start a podcast, and we're going to make this happen. And so in order for me to do all that, I had to know what I wanted. I had to know what I wanted. I had to set a goal and know exactly what I wanted to have happen. And then I started implementing that goal. Now, setting a goal, and the reason I'm saying this is because, this is the New Year's upon us, and people are setting goals. They're setting New Year's resolutions all the time. And so I just kind of want to go through this because I was looking it up, people who set New Year's resolutions, by the end of the year, it's somewhere between 8 to 12% of people who set a New Year's resolution actually do it. 8 to 12%, somewhere in there. Okay. Man, that's I was thinking, maybe half of them do it. No, not even half, like 10% or less. 10% of people actually do their New Year's resolution all year long. So, and that's because of how they set the goal, how they do it. So I want to tell you a couple of goals that I set and how I set them and how those things turned out. And I think once you kind of see what I did and how I did it, maybe you can translate that into a goal that you want to set for 2025. So when I came up with the idea, I wanted to do a podcast. It was just an idea. It wasn't a plan. It was to think about, do I want to do this? Then after enough thought, I made the decision, I want to do a podcast. So I set a goal. I want to do a podcast, and I want to start it at the beginning of August of 2024. That was my goal. And I was going to do this every Thursday. And the first Thursday in August of 2024 was going to be on August the 1st. 2024 was going to be the first day of my podcast. And I had set this goal in advance. And I was buying the equipment. I was building the studio. I was decorating the studio. I was setting up the cameras and doing the sound, doing the light. I was doing all these things. And August 1st came and went. Okay. Not because I didn't want to do it, because I wasn't ready. And then August 8th, the next Thursday came and went. The 15th came and went. Then I said, okay, I think I'm finally ready. August 22nd, okay? We're at the end of August. August 22nd is a Thursday. That's going to be the first episode of the SnakesAreUsTV podcast. August 22nd is the date. I'm ready to go. And I wrote it down on my calendar. And I don't remember what happened. Something happened and it wasn't ready to go. And I had to scratch it. It's on my calendar right here. I scratched it out because I couldn't do it. I was like, man, am I ever going to do this? So let's do it next week. So August 29th, because luckily, August 2024 had 5 Thursdays in it. So the 5th week in August, I started the SnakesAreUsTV podcast. And I had to put it off week after week after week because my goal of August the 1st, I didn't make it. I'd set this goal. I planned it out. I knew what I needed to do. I was trying my best to make it happen, and I failed, and I didn't do it. It didn't work out. The next week it did. The next week it did. The next week it did. I mean, over and over and over and over and over, it was not working out. And but I was persistent, and on the 29th, I made it happen. Okay, and now once I made the podcast happen, well, you can't just stop there. You have to. What's my next goal? Okay, and so I've got goals that I've got set up for my YouTube channel. For 2025, not this year, for my podcast, for my speaking engagements, for my snake aversion training that we do, all the different aspects of our rescue. I've got goals and things that I want to accomplish and a timetable of when I want to do those things. And so another goal that I set was it's been January. Well, no, let's go back. So I set the goal in December of 2022. December 2022. And looking back, I can see the problems I had with this other goal. This is not the podcast. This is a different goal. So December 2022, I knew the new year was coming. I was like, okay, you feel like January's coming. It's a new year. I want things to be different. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want things to be different. So what am I going to do for January 2023? What am I going to do? And what is probably the most common New Year's resolution that anybody will ever make? What's probably the most common one? I don't know. I should have looked it up. I don't know, but I'm going to guess. My guess is going to be people say, I want to lose weight. I want to get in shape. I want to get healthy. Something along those guidelines would probably be my best guess for what most people say is their New Year's resolution. Okay. So that was going to be mine. Okay. I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to get in shape much better than where I was. So 2023 on January is when I was going to start that. And I've got that calendar somewhere in here, I know. But anyway, that's when I was going to start. And what I decided to do was, because I knew how easily you can set a goal and fail. Oh, yes, down the calendar on the very bottom. I knew how you could just set a goal and, life kind of gets in the way, and then you fail at it. But here was the thing that I decided to do was January 1st, 2022, happened to be Saturday was the first day, that Saturday, and that was going to be the day I started. And I wanted to have a goal where I could start to lose weight, but do it in such a way that where I wouldn't quit, and do it in such a way that if I failed and mess up, I still wouldn't quit. Because just like with my podcast, I wanted to start on August the 1st. I had planned that out for months in advance. Months in advance, I knew that's when I wanted to start. And it didn't work. I couldn't do it. And then I failed the next week, and the next week, and the next week. And I tried to set my goals in such a way that if I mess up, if I fail, if I don't meet the goal, well, that doesn't mean that I quit and just, okay, well, I guess I couldn't do it on August the 1st. I guess I'm not doing a podcast now, okay? So that's not how I wanted to set this up. So when I decided I wanted to lose weight at the end of 2022, and I said I'm going to start January 1st, 2023, I just came up with my goal. My goal was to lose weight, okay? And I set up, when you come up with a goal, the mistake that people make is they'll say, for instance, you want to lose weight, whatever it is, you want to make more money, or you want to learn more, you want to learn a new skill, whatever it is that you want to do. People will set that goal, and it will be so broad and generic and general that it's kind of, you don't really know what you're aiming for. So take that big, broad goal and kind of shrink it down to something specific, and now you have a target that you can hit, okay? So what I did, instead of just saying I want to lose weight, I said I want to lose this much weight, and I gave myself a number to hit. And then I said, okay, so I have a goal. I want to lose a certain amount of weight. Then I said, okay, how am I going to do that? So you can't just set a goal. You have to have a plan. You have to have a plan with your goal, all right? And now all this helps tremendously if you write it down. So this is not something you do in your head. It's not something you do in your head. This is something you put it in your phone if that makes you feel better, or have a calendar or a notebook or a journal, somewhere you're going to write this stuff down. But this is something that has to be put down in black and white ink or something, okay? So anyway, I had a goal, and then I had a plan. So my plan, basically what I knew I had to do, it was kind of break down my goal into steps of how I was going to make my goal happen. So I said, okay, I want to lose weight. I want to lose this much weight. So I want to do that in this many amount of months. So how much weight should I lose per month to make that goal happen? And then how should I implement that? Like, how do I do that? Okay. Do I need a personal trainer? Do I need to change my diet? Do I need to exercise? What do I need to do? So anyway, I came up with a plan and said, okay, here's my plan. I'm going to do these things here. And if I do these things here, that's going to help me get to my goal for this first week, and the second week, and third week, and the fourth week, and that's my first month. Then I'll go to my second month. So you have to break your goal down into a smaller plan that you can hit a target. You have something to target that you can hit, okay? So I did that. And so then I had that written down. I had it spelled out where I could kind of check off the boxes. I had it on my phone, actually. Even though I do a calendar, a paper calendar, I do this on my phone. Or I can go check off the things. Okay, I did this, and did this. And it's satisfying to be able to check those things off. Now, I knew that was coming up. So then January 1st, 2023, I decided to start my plan. I put it into action. And some people will come up with a goal, they'll come up with a plan, but they never start because you're waiting for all these things to be aligned just right. Everything has to be perfect, and then they can start. Well, don't do that. You can't do that, You have to just go ahead and do it. Like when I started my podcast on August 29th of this year, 2024, I was not ready to start my podcast. This is episode 18. I don't think I'm ready to start it now. I should probably be getting ready in the next month or two, but I go ahead and do it anyway and just start it and just do it. And don't wait on the stars to align for everything to be perfect, because nothing's ever going to be perfect. There's always going to be a hiccup. Life happens. Just do it. Just start. Okay. Don't let all these things stop you from starting. Okay. The other thing that really helps too is having somebody that you're accountable to, an accountability partner, somebody that can ask you, somebody that's kind of on the same mindset as you are, whether it's somebody that, if you're doing a podcast, somebody else that does a podcast, or somebody else is trying to lose weight, or somebody else is trying to learn the same kind of skill that you're trying to learn. Okay. So finding somebody that has the same type of mindset that you can check in with each other and see that you're growing, that you're doing the thing, that you're accountable to somebody. If you don't have anybody to be accountable to, then make a way for you to be accountable to yourself. Have a check-off list that you have to check off every week to be accountable to yourself. If you don't have an actual person you can do that with. And then once you start doing this stuff, you got to be persistent. Now, there's been times I'm only on episode 18. I can't believe I'm already on episode 18. I didn't think I was going to make it to episode 2, okay, or 3. We're on episode 18. But be persistent and consistent. Persistent and consistent. Both of those things. Because when I was doing my weight loss thing that first year, 2023, I hit my goals. But there were some weeks that I did not hit my goal. And it was a month or two where I didn't hit my goal. But because I didn't hit my goal and I failed, I could have quit and said, okay, well, I messed it up. I tried. I did it for 6 months. It's half the year. That's something, But I was like, no, I'm going to keep doing it. Let me get back on track here. Let's not quit. Let's get back on track. Pick up where we're at now, because where I'm at now is better than where I was 3 months ago. I'm still better off here. So even though I've messed up and I kind of failed this whole month, let's pick it back up and restart it for next month. And I did that. And I've done that for since January 2023. And now I'm still doing that same kind of weight loss thing I've been doing, and it's been great. I've hit my goals there. And I'm trying to start doing that with my podcast and with a lot of other areas that are in my life. Let me go back to the chat here real quick for just a second. Avery's Jungle says, you can have exotic pets here in Pennsylvania. Okay. Yeah, I thought you could. I know that the exotics I definitely have to get permits for. But even the ones that, like my alligator will be considered an exotic pet in Pennsylvania, but in Georgia, it's a protected species. So in order for the alligator, which is on my permit in Georgia, to leave the state, I have to get special permission from Georgia to leave Georgia with my alligator to do that. So let's see here. Who else we got in the chat here? We got a lot of comments. I'm going to read some of your comments real quick. Candice Critters says we've been having a lot of coyote activity here in northwest Austin. Huge amount of development. Yeah, there's a lot of coyotes here in Georgia, the Atlanta area. I'm about an hour south of Atlanta is where I'm located. So we've got coyotes out here, but there's a lot of them in Atlanta too, I hear of. People call me all the time to kind of catch coyotes and want to get rid of them, but they're kind of very difficult to catch if they are in a suburban area, lots of houses, because you put a leg hold trap out where you're going to catch cats and dogs. You don't want to do that. And the big box traps, you can catch a coyote in them, but it's hard. And you're going to catch dogs and cats in those too. So it's just very difficult in an urban area to deal with coyotes. Let's see who else we got here. Avery's Jungle. My dad is a geologist, paleontologist. And to take over the family business, I had to go to college for geology, but I love reptiles. So I also did other classes as well and still am. Now, I love geology. I did not think I would like anything to do with geology, but just taking geology in high school was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that class. And I learned a lot there. I didn't realize how much I loved geology until I took a class in geology. That was really cool. So let's see here. A couple more comments, and I'm going to wrap this thing up here in just a minute. Thank you all for joining me. We got Bracken Cohen. I see your name in here. Bracken Cohen, where are you from? Saw you were streaming and wanted to say thank you. I have sent you 2 or 3 pictures of snakes found in my garage or outside my house, and you have answered every time. Thank you. As I'm reading your comment, I'm like, is he about to say, I've sent you pictures, and why won't you answer my questions? Why won't you identify them? But thank God I did identify them, and you were thinking, because I don't know what I'm reading these comments live on the air until I read them, Anyway, probably not a good idea for me to read these things live, but you're very welcome, Bracken. Thank you for being in here. So if you have a New Year's resolution that you're coming up with, and if you don't, I think you should. Everybody says, "Oh, that's not my thing. I don't do New Year's resolutions." Well, then call it something else, but at least have a goal. You don't have to call it a New Year's resolution, but have a goal, or have many different goals in every different aspect of your life. You can have goals with your family, with family members. You can have goals with friends, to be, make closer friendships over the year. You can have goals with your church. You can have goals to want to read more books. You can have goals to want to read the Bible every day. You can have, there's so many different goals that can grow you as a person, because if you start thinking of these different goals and things that would make you a better person, things that would make you, if you can sit here at the end of 2024 where we are now and say, you know what, if over the last year, if over the last 12 months, if I would have done A, B, C, if I would have done these things, where would I be right now? Well, you maybe you didn't do those things, but now's your time to start for 2025 in January. So come up with some actionable goals that are not too lofty to where you just can't get to it. Set some small goals that you can accomplish. And like I said, when you come up with your goals, know what it is that you actually want. Don't just say, I want to make more money in 2025. How much money do you want to make in 2025? Put a number to it. You want to lose weight? How much weight do you want to lose in 2025? Put a number to it. You want to learn a new skill? Be specific about it. And then once you're specific and you know what you want, come up with your plan, and then break your plan down into small goals that you can implement and you can track the progress of. Okay? And then at the appropriate time, take action. And when you mess up, when you don't hit your small goals that you're trying to accomplish along the way, when you consistently mess up and you forget about your New Year's resolution in March, and you forget you even were doing it, and you don't think of it till May, start it back in May. That's what I've done. That's what I do. But there's so many people who come up with these great ideas they want to do, and they just don't do them. Stop thinking of stuff and not doing it. Go and do the things. If you have a New Year's resolution and you want to share it, put it in the chat. Put it down in here. So let's go back up here real quick to our chat. So Avery's Jungle, our geologist, says, I sell crystals and fossils for a living on top of rescuing reptiles and tarantulas. That's really cool. That is a very odd career you have, which I like. That's awesome. Okay. So wolves are being reintroduced in certain parts of the UK. Wow, I would never even picture wolves in the UK. That's cool. That's awesome. Okay. So Ari Black, Ari Black, not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, says they have a question. Question is, I have seen racers and garters in my yard here in Beaufort, South Carolina, and recently noticed, excuse me, that I'm developing a mole problem. These snakes like to eat moles. Mole. Yes, garter snakes, not so much, but I believe that garter snakes will take small mammals, mice, and moles. Garter snakes typically focus more on amphibians, fish, frogs, toads, fish, but they will take other things like that as well. Now, your racers will definitely eat moles. The problem with a mole, now I'm just talking off the top of my head. What I'm about to say may not even be true. Okay, I'm just thinking here. Will a black racer eat a mole? Yes. Will a black racer ever find a mole to eat? I don't know. Now, black racers are diurnal, which means they're active in the daytime. They have the same sense as other snakes do. They can smell with their tongue, their Jacobson's organ, to sense prey. They can find prey that way. But one big way that black racers find their prey is visually. And black racers do this behavior called periscoping, where they'll actually raise their body, their head up off the ground, and they'll get their head above the grass line, and they will visually search for movement and prey. And when they see it, they chase it down, they grab it, and they swallow it. And, after they kill it, of course. But how does a black racer kill his prey? Well, the scientific name of a black racer is Coluber constrictor. And they're not constrictors. They basically just overpower the prey of their mouth and swallow it live. Once they get the head of the prey animal in their mouth, it basically suffocates. They swallow it live. That way, they're not constrictors. But I would think, would a black racer crawl down into a mole hole? Yeah, I think they would, because they hide out in places. So they would go into a mole hole. A mole hole. Is that what you call a mole hole? They would go into a mole hole. But would they actively seek it? Maybe they would. Maybe they would go in and find one. I would think rat snakes would probably be better suited to going after moles in the mole's hole and hunting them down that way. Because you don't normally see a bunch of moles on top of the ground running around for black racers who are visually in tune to catching their prey, seeing moles running around, So usually the moles are going to typically, not all the time, but most time be underground hidden. So it's going to be harder for a black racer to find them. But if a black racer is in a hole made by a mole and he finds one, yes, he would eat it. Yeah. But rat snakes may be a better suited, rat snakes and king snakes in South Carolina, anywhere where you're looking, may be better suited to do that. So Trinity Murray says, my resolution is to sell hoggies. If you don't know what she's talking about hognose snakes, which are really awesome snakes, but that's kind of more on others. Yeah, you got to have people wanting to buy them. Maybe it's 50. They have to decide they want one. So I guess my resolution should be to advertise better. So where do you advertise? Do you have a website, Trinity, that you put on? Do you put them on Morph Market? If you don't know about Morph Market, there's a big website. Probably, I guess, the biggest place to sell any snake or lizard or turtle or tortoise is on the website called Morph Market. A lot of sellers on there. They got thousands of snakes on there for sale on Morph Market. So is that where you sell them? Do you sell them on your own website? So let's see here. Anyway, if you have a New Year's resolution, put it in the chat. Tell us what you're planning on doing. And if you don't want to put it in the chat here, make sure you find somebody to hold you accountable and be consistent with. Avery's Jungle says, my New Year's resolution is to have my new reptile room finished before summer. That's good. That's good. And I've got goals I want to do with my reptile building and with, like I said, all different aspects of my business, my personal, my personal health, my family, my reading, my knowledge, everything. So that there's several goals that I'm looking to accomplish for 2025. And so this is episode number 18 of the Snakes Are Us TV podcast. And this happens to be the last episode of Snakes Are Us TV podcast for 2024, at least. So this is the last episode of the year. And we will be back next week for episode number 19. I cannot believe we're at episode 19. I don't know what I'm talking about next week. Some of you have given some good ideas to talk about on the podcast. So if you have a topic you would like for me to cover, make sure you go to the comment section of this video and put that in the comment section of some good topics that you would like to see me cover on the podcast, things that we can talk about. So keep putting I see more people are putting their New Year's resolutions in here. So stick those in here. I'll go back and I'll read these chats later. One of my New Year's resolutions, I'll tell you another one I've got, is to try to start commenting on your comments on YouTube. Okay. There are so many comments on here and I don't read all of them. I read almost all of them. I mean, almost all the comments I read, and I always answer them in my head. And I'm like, this is what I would say if I would type this person. So I do read your comments. I need to type them out and respond to them. So I really appreciate you guys for joining me for episode number 18 of the Snakes Are Us TV podcast. Make sure you are setting goals, whether it's a New Year's resolution, whether it's not. There's so many goals that can grow you as a person. And just try to look at where those things can place you in life if you were consistent and stuck to them and did the things that you think you should. So set a goal. Make sure you know what you want. Make sure you have a plan and break that goal down into a smaller plan that you can implement and actually achieve. And then start it. Don't put it off. Go ahead and start it, sometimes even before you're ready to start it. Most of the people who start anything of value that can change their life, most people start those things before they're ready to start those things. And most people who quit just before they were about to succeed, and they never knew that. So make sure you're persistent. Make sure you have an accountability partner, and make sure that you can forgive yourself when you mess up. When you mess up and you don't have that box to check off this week because you backslid and you're worse than you were last week, forgive yourself, jump back on, and keep on going, and don't stop. So, guys, thank y'all for joining me. This is Jason Clark with the Snakes Are Us TV podcast. I'll be back next week for episode number 19. And remember one last thing. Jesus loves you, and so do I.